In today's episode, we start to part out the SCIROCCO. Okay, as you can see, today we're in the shop. I wheeled the car into the shop just because it's a little easier to deal with parting it in here. I got concrete floors, that sort of thing. So welcome to my Mk1 shop. So today what I'm going to do is start blasting off some of the good parts of this car. I think we'll probably take the wheels off, suspension out. We'll take some of those strut bars off, all that kind of thing, and we'll just see where it leads. All right, let's get to work. Oh man, do I ever hate rusty cars. Well, problem number one, this bolt right here is turning. So the strut cap, where it wraps over to here, this stud is spinning, so is the nut. So I got to figure a way to capture that underneath in order to get it off. But remember how I said this car was rusty? Take a look at this. This whole strut tower all the way down, and the fender's still on, by the way. So you can see all in there. It's completely rusted out. And this is only the half of it. All right, let's get that stud out. Well, as you can see, I got it out. Took a couple tries at it though, because the bolt, as you can see, hopefully the camera will focus there, it was just super rusty. So I had to throw a pretty gross tack on the bottom because I could barely reach. But I ended up getting it out, so that's great. The shocks actually aren't in terrible condition. If you check out the seals there, the seals are actually really good. They're not all that old. So I don't know, I might repurpose these on something. I'm not really sure yet, but can use a good cleanup, and we'll take a look at the back ones. Obviously it needs new strut tops, but the shock condition looks pretty good. So we'll go to getting to pull it on the backs. So I forgot to mention in my last episode, it has this stress bar up front, which I did mention, but forgot to mention that it's got this sway bar, a new speed sway bar in it. You can see it's got a Heim joints there, all the way over to the stress bar that's underneath, sway bar that's underneath. Obviously I may have to rebuild those Heims or get new ones, but we'll kind of clean that up and see what's left of it. It doesn't look that healthy, but you can see the rust in this car is just unreal. Of how rusty it's got. It's carried through the fenders, which will take this kit off at some point. Even all along down the car, it's rusty all the way up the door frame, and then even when you get into, hold on, I can't even get in the door. It's all up in the pillar, or up in the roof, the frame of the roof, and down the pillar and that sort of thing. So this car definitely, like I said in the first episode or last episode of this car definitely isn't even remotely worth saving. It's that far gone. Also, these BB arrows are really sweet. Show you these real quick. They need to be cleaned up as well, but you can see in the back the cooling blades for the brakes are directional. So a lot of this grime will clean it off, and we'll spend some time doing that. But you can see they're pretty cool with their directional arrows, kind of showing you which way they're supposed to rotate. They all have that same cooling duct that sucks the air underneath in a directional way. But these will be definitely getting reused. These four-wheel disc brakes are also pretty shot, but what I can actually use, obviously I'm going to be throwing out the discs and the calipers and all that kind of thing, but what I can use is the stub axle that's in here. I think it's pretty clean because it rotates real smooth, so the stub axle will get reused. I'll probably reuse the dust plates and that sort of stuff and clean them up, but the rest of it, it's all toast. So before I get to taking out the rear suspension, I'm going to take out this 4-point new speed stress bar. So it bolts down here to the bumper attachment, up top to the strut, other side to the strut, and then here to the floor. So I'm going to take the trusty old WD and we'll hit it up and let it sit for a minute or two. This car is quite rusty. You haven't picked up on that. So a lot of this stuff all is going to have to be, all the hardware is going to have to be replaced, and we're going to have to really work on bringing some of this stuff back, but nevertheless, we'll get that baby out. Well, have I mentioned how much I hate rusty cars? Yet alone, this is probably the rustiest. So it took me about half an hour to get that stupid nut off this thing, and even on a good day, sometimes they're kind of challenging, but this one was extra challenging, the rustiness of both of these. This one came out okay. Now we got to work on this next, which you can guess how that's going to go, but let's give it a shot. Well, I think I might have lucked out here. As you can see, this, I couldn't make out a nut there, and I don't know if anybody else has these and knows better than me before I even bolt this in, but it looks like it's capsulated nuts, and when I look underneath the car I can see bolt heads. So I'm going to try from underneath, and I hope this is going to blast out real smooth. Okay, I'll spare you my hardship, but for anybody that doesn't know, beneath all that rust, it actually was a nut. It might be hard to see, but this thing has, how do we focus here? This thing had nothing left. All of it's even on an angle, see that? It's just completely toast. So I had to grip that with obviously vice grips to get that to stay. Even that was a challenge. Anyway, got it out. All right, it's out. Look over here. There we are. It doesn't look so bad out of the car, but definitely gonna need some cleanup. As you can see, bushings are all in decent shape. Just need to be cleaned up, and we'll give it a whole new revival at some point. All right, now let's get the shocks out. Got the rear sway bar out, rear 4-point strut bar, shocks, springs, front strut bar. Let's tackle that front. Oh man, this car is such a turd. Take a look at this. So I'm going to be taking off that front sway bar. So hopping underneath, you can see there's a sway bar there, and it's got the all the way down to the Heim. It's hard to see there, but anyway, take a look at this. So this is the underside of the channel. It's a complete hole right up inside the car, and then if you go back, keep going back along the pinch weld, we'll get back to the back box where the rear suspension mounts. I'm going to show you that. Look at that. I don't know if you can see that. It's non-existent. So again, like I said last episode, guys, anybody who thought I was wrecking a car that could be saved, I guess technically if you really had a lot of money and a lot of time to waste, you could save this car, but this thing's just too far gone. I also didn't I don't think I mentioned in this episode, off camera, about a day or two ago, I tried to get this car running off camera, but there's just too much wrong with the fuel system. Not only is there a hole in the tank, this pump doesn't run, so I'd have to buy another pump just to get it started in this chassis. Plus there's a myriad of other issues, wiring and that sort of thing in this car is pretty rotten out. So I think some fuses are blown and all that kind of thing. So getting it running in this chassis isn't really going to work. The motor does roll over really easy, so I'm not too concerned right now. I'm still going to blast the motor apart even when I take it out. So I'm just going to forego the will it start part of this particular episode, or this particular car, sorry. As you can see, this thing is rugged. And there's just, there's rust just everywhere that just... Anyway. All right, let's take off this sway bar. So I thought I'd show you the other side of the car just because I'm under here anyways. Take a look at this. Trying to get it so you can see. Again, same thing. This is the floor pinch weld of the other side, driver's side now, all the way across, and you can see, I don't know if it can focus that well, but you can see right here, that's all driver's side floor pan. So even back here, you can see there's the inner wiring harness underneath the carpet that goes to the rear tail lights. This car is just toast. Wow, that one was stubborn, but it's because these end ones need to be cleaned up so much. The end of it just was a bit of a chore to get out. I'm gonna have to rebuild these heims, I think, without question. But you can see there was a new speed one. All kinds of bars adding up here. Got one more to get. Okay, that's it for the stress bars and sway bars and all that kind of thing, suspension, wheels. So let's get the shop cleaned up. All right, that about wraps it up for today. As you can see here, old cars bring good value. Obviously this stuff needs to be cleaned up really good, but I don't know if any of the viewers or subscribers want to just add up how much the stuff costs. Your front sway bar, lower stress bar, front lower sway bar, rear sway bar, and rear 4-point, all from New Speed. Then we got shocks and springs and wheels. Like, this stuff adds up, and although it's older for sure, I definitely can revive this stuff. I mean, you can't even find this stuff very well anymore. So there's good value here. Plus, I haven't even dived into the 2-liter swap and all that kind of stuff, the side skirts, the front grille, all that kind of thing. So there's good value in these old cars, but that's it for today. As you can see, there's pitfalls of working with really old cars and rusty things, but we did seem to get a good amount of stuff out of that car. There's lots in the car we still have to get. 2-liter engine, transmission, side skirts, bumpers, grill, all that kind of stuff can help to keep in that sort of stuff. Obviously the chassis itself is pretty far gone, but thanks very much for watching this video. Let's try and stick to this content every Wednesday like I have been. I really appreciate all the positive comments and that sort of stuff. Feel free to leave a comment on this video, especially if you want anything from this car. Maybe we can work out a deal. But as far as that goes, guys, hit subscribe. Thanks very much. We'll see you next week. Take care.